Rain hit the pavement like bullets when I stepped out of the car. The city smelled of smoke, rust, and regret. I pulled my coat tighter and lit a cigarette, trying to forget the world for a minute. Then I heard it, soft crying, almost lost under the thunder. I followed the sound down a narrow alley. "Hello?" My voice echoed off wet brick, no answer. Just sobs. She was there, small, maybe 8 years old, barefoot, bleeding from her knee. Her dress was torn, soaked in mud. She looked at me like I was the monster under her bed. "Hey, kid," I said quietly, crouching. "What happened to you?" She didn't speak, just flinched when thunder cracked again. I put out my cigarette and raised my hands. "Easy, I'm not gonna hurt you." Her lips trembled. "Please don't take me back." That line froze me. "Back where?" She shook her head violently. "He'll find me." My gut twisted. I didn't ask who he was. I already knew the type. Every alley in this city had one. A man who thought fear was power. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Emily." "All right, Emily." I pulled off my coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. "You're freezing." She stared at my hands. "You have scars." "Yeah," I said. "They remind me of my bad decisions." When I lifted her, she didn't fight me. She just buried her face against my chest. Her small hands clutched my shirt like I was the last safe thing in the world. The car engine rumbled when I slid in. Dante turned from the driver's seat, eyes narrowing. "What the hell is that?" "A kid," I said flatly. "No kidding." "Where'd you find her?" "In an alley," he exhaled hard. "Luca, we're not a damn charity." She was bleeding. "Boss, every bleeding kid in this city ain't your problem. Tonight she is." He gripped the wheel. "You're gonna regret this." "Add it to the list," I muttered. Emily's head rested against the window. Streetlights flashed across her face, and I saw fear, exhaustion, and something else. Hope, maybe. We drove back to the compound. The rain followed us like a curse. When we stepped inside, Rico was at the bar, cleaning a pistol. He frowned. "That's new. You adopting strays now?" "Mind your mouth," I warned. He raised his hands. "Hey, just saying." Not a good look for a mafia boss walking in with a kid. I ignored him and carried her to my office. Dante followed, still muttering under his breath. "Sit her there," I said, nodding at the couch. Emily looked around, eyes wide at the shelves of whiskey bottles and gunmetal glint. "Where am I?" "Somewhere safe," I said. Dante crossed his arms. "You sure about that?" I shot him a look. "I said she's safe," he sighed. "All right, boss. But tomorrow we need to figure out who she belongs to." I didn't answer. I grabbed a first aid kit and sat beside her. "This might sting," I said, cleaning her knee. She didn't flinch, just whispered, "You're not like them." "Who?" "The men who took me." My hand stopped. "How many?" "4, her voice cracked. "They said I was worth money." Dante's eyes darkened. "Traffickers?" "Looks like it," I said quietly. He swore under his breath. "Then she's trouble. Marco's men run that side of town." I froze. "Marco?" "Yeah, D'Angelo's crew. You know him." I knew him all right. A snake I should have cut years ago. Emily tugged on my sleeve. "Are you angry?" I looked at her small, frightened face and forced a smile. "Not at you." She blinked up at me. "Will he come here?" "Not if I find him first," Dante groaned. "Here we go again." "Say what you want," I said, standing. "But if Marco's behind this, he's just made it personal." Dante leaned forward. "You told me you were done, Luca. No more wars. No more bodies." "Then he should have stayed out of my city." Emily's voice broke through the tension. "Can I sleep here?" I looked at her, then at Dante. "Yeah, you can." Dante shook his head. "You're insane." "Probably," I said. When Dante left, I dimmed the lights. Emily curled up on the couch, wrapped in my coat. I poured myself a drink and watched the rain blur the windows. She spoke softly, half asleep. "Why are you helping me?" I thought for a long moment. "Because someone once helped me when I didn't deserve it." "Did they save you?" she asked. I smiled bitterly. "No, but they tried." Silence filled the room. The thunder softened outside. I sat there, listening to her steady breathing. And for the first time in years, the noise in my head went quiet. When I finally turned off the lamp, I whispered to myself, "What the hell are you doing, Luca?" No answer. Just the hum of the rain and the faint heartbeat of a city that forgot how to care. I leaned back, eyes closed, and let the memories creep in. Isabella's voice, the blood, the fire, the promises I never kept. I thought I'd buried them all, but tonight, that little girl dug them right back up. Some people said you can't outrun the past. They were right. You can only face it, and sometimes it shows up barefoot in the rain, asking you not to take her back. Morning sunlight spilled through the blinds when I woke up. The room smelled like whiskey and gun oil. Emily was still asleep on the couch, clutching my coat like it was a shield. For a second, I almost smiled. Almost. Dante walked in with 2 cups of coffee. "You didn't sleep?" "Didn't try," I said. He glanced at Emily. "She's still here, huh?" "She's not going anywhere until I know who she's running from." He sighed. "You're really doing this, aren't you?" "I guess I am." He dropped into the chair opposite me. "You know Marco D'Angelo's name came up last night?" My fingers froze around the cup. "Say that again." "Marco's crew. Word is, they've been moving kids through the docks, selling them off to whoever pays." The name alone felt like a knife twisting in my chest. "I told you that bastard should have stayed buried." "Buried?" Dante smirked bitterly. "You mean the guy you let walk away 5 years ago?" I met his eyes. "Yeah, him." He took a long sip. "So what's the plan now, boss? You gonna go knock on his door and ask nicely?" I looked toward the window where the city bled light and smoke. "No. I'm gonna remind him why he used to be afraid of me." "Christ, Luca. You promised you were done." "I also promised myself I'd never let another kid bleed on these streets." "Yeah?" he said quietly. "And how many promises have you broken?" I didn't answer. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I picked it up. "Luca Moretti," a man's voice drawled, mocking. "Didn't think you were still playing savior. Who's this?" "You took something of mine last night." My blood turned cold. "Marco," he chuckled. "That little girl? She's property. You know how this works." "She's not property," I snapped. "Everything in this city is property," he said. "Even you. Remember?" The line went dead. Dante stared at me. "That was him, wasn't it?" "Yeah. What did he say?" "That she belongs to him," Dante cursed. "Then we've got a war coming." I stood, grabbed my jacket. "Not yet. First, I want to know why she matters to him." "Where are you going?" "To talk to someone who owes me answers." The church was quiet, heavy with the smell of candles and dust. Father Miguel was kneeling near the altar when I walked in. "Luca Moretti," he said without turning. "You don't come here unless you're lost." "I'm not lost," I muttered. "Just looking for directions." He looked over his shoulder, smiling sadly. "Same thing. I sat on the last pew." "You ever heard of Marco D'Angelo running kids?" His expression darkened. "You know I don't keep track of men like him. But you hear whispers." He sighed. "I hear everything. And what I hear about Marco isn't good. He's dealing in children, Luca. You don't want that kind of blood on your hands again." "I already have blood on them," I said. "This time it'll be his." Miguel leaned forward. "And what will that make you?" "I don't care." "Yes, you do," he said softly. "Or you wouldn't be here." I stood. "She's just a kid, Father." He nodded. "Then save her. But don't lose yourself again doing it." By the time I got back, Emily was awake, sitting at the bar, legs swinging. She looked up. "You left." "Had to talk to someone. About me?" "Yeah," she hesitated. "Did I do something wrong?" I crouched to her level. "You did nothing wrong, kid." Her eyes shimmered. "Then why does everyone want me?" I swallowed hard. "Because people like Marco don't see people. They see money," she frowned. "Are you gonna stop him?" "I'm gonna try. Will he come for me?" "Maybe," I said honestly. "But he won't reach you." She nodded slowly, then whispered, "You remind me of my uncle." I froze. "Your uncle?" "Yeah, he used to yell a lot too." I forced a smile. "Did he work at the docks?" She blinked. "How did you know?" That was all I needed to hear. Dante entered, tossing a file onto the counter. "Got your answers, boss." I opened it. Names, photos, locations. The docks, the shipments, Marco's network. My pulse quickened. Dante tapped one page. You see this? One of the buyers was registered under a fake ID, Isabella Cruz. I stared at the name. The room tilted. Say that again. You heard me. I leaned back, the memories flooding in. Her smile, her betrayal, her last words before she vanished. She's still alive, I whispered. Dante frowned. You knew her? Once, I said. She taught me how to love. Then she taught me what betrayal feels like. He shook his head. You sure you want to dig that deep? Doesn't matter what I want, I said. She's connected. And if Isabella's working with Marco, I'll find out why. Emily tugged my sleeve again. Who's Isabella? Someone who made me forget who I was, I said softly. And someone who'll remind me who I still am. Dante sighed. Then what now? I grabbed my gun from the drawer, checked the chamber. Now, we pay Marco a visit. That night, as I loaded my weapon, I caught my reflection in the window. For the first time in years, I saw the old me staring back, the man I swore I'd buried. I told you I wouldn't go back, I whispered to myself. Guess I lied. The bar was quiet that night, too quiet for my liking. I poured myself a drink and watched the amber swirl, pretending the silence didn't bother me. Dante was wiping down the counter, humming off-key. Emily sat at a corner table, drawing something on a napkin with a broken pen. Then the door opened. 3 men walked in, coats dripping, boots heavy, eyes mean. I didn't need introductions. Marco's dogs always carried that same stench of arrogance and cheap cologne. The tallest one smiled. Evening, boss. I didn't bother to look up. You're not my men. Don't call me that. He laughed. Old habits die hard. We just came to talk. Dante tensed. We're closed. Then open, the man said, stepping closer. We need a drink. And a little girl. My jaw tightened. You're walking out the same way you came in. He leaned on the counter, eyes glittering. We know she's here. Marco wants her back. She belongs to him. Wrong choice of words, I said quietly. He smirked. You can't save everyone, Luca. You tried once, remember? Lost everything. You really want to make the same mistake? I stood up. The stool legs scraped the floor, loud in the silence. You're gonna regret saying her name in this place. One of them reached under his coat, flashing steel. Easy, boss. Let's not make a mess. Marco respects you. Just hand her over and we'll forget this happened. Dante stepped forward. You should walk away while you still have knees. The tall one grinned. You got guts, kid. I'm older than you think, Dante said, rolling up his sleeves. I raised a hand. Don't. He stopped, but his jaw stayed tight. I looked the tall man dead in the eye. Tell Marco he can come himself if he wants her. The man's smile vanished. You think you can fight him again? You're done, Moretti. You've got no crew, no power, just ghosts and regrets. I shrugged. Ghosts keep me company. He slammed his fist on the counter. You don't know who you're messing with. I stepped around the bar. Oh, I do. He swung first. Rookie mistake. I caught his wrist, twisted, and drove my elbow into his face. His nose cracked like dry wood. The other 2 moved fast, but I was faster. One pulled a knife. I kicked the table into him and slammed his head against the wall. The third tried to grab me from behind. Bad idea. I smashed a bottle over his skull and threw him onto the floor. The tall one groaned, wiping blood from his mouth. You're dead, Luca. You just signed your... I grabbed his collar and slammed him against the bar. Finish that sentence. He spat blood. She's Marco's property. That word again. Property. I hit him once, hard, teeth scattered like dice. She's a child. He coughed, eyes wide with panic. You don't get it, Marco. I get it, I growled. He's scared, and he should be. I let him drop. He crawled toward the door, dragging the other two with him. Dante watched silently, jaw clenched. When the last one stumbled outside, I locked the door and turned around. Emily was standing there, eyes wide, trembling. Her voice was small. "Are you a bad guy?" The question hit harder than any punch. I wiped blood from my knuckles and tried to smile. "Why would you think that?" "You hurt them," she whispered. "Bad people hurt others." I knelt down, searching for words that didn't make me sound like a liar. "Sometimes people like me have to hurt bad men so they don't hurt anyone else." She frowned. "So you're a good bad guy?" I almost laughed, but the sound caught in my throat. "Something like that." She looked down at my hands. "Your hands are shaking." "I know." "Are you scared?" "No," I said quietly. "Just angry." She reached out and touched my wrist. My uncle used to get angry too, but he never helped anyone. I met her eyes. "Then maybe I'm not like him." She nodded slowly, still holding my sleeve. "Will they come back?" "They always do," I said. "But they won't find you." Dante came over, grabbing a rag. "You're bleeding." "I've been worse." He pointed at the shattered glass and overturned stools. "You just made it official. Marco's coming." "Good," I said. "Let him." He exhaled sharply. "You really think you can take him? You don't have an army anymore." "I don't need one," I said. "All I need is a reason." Dante stared at me for a long time. "You're doing this for her?" I glanced back at Emily, who was still clutching my coat. "Yeah, maybe for her. Maybe for me." He shook his head. "You're insane." "I've been called worse." He started cleaning the bar, muttering curses. "You know this'll end in blood." "It always does," I said. Emily tugged on my sleeve again. "Can I sleep now?" "Yeah, kid," I said softly. "You can." She smiled faintly and went back to her corner. When she was gone, Dante leaned against the counter. "So what now?" I looked at the broken glass, the blood, the shadows outside the window. "Now," I said, "we wait." The whispers started before sunset. Luca Moretti's back. I hadn't heard that name in years. It felt like a ghost, crawling out of my past, dragging blood with it. Dante slammed the office door behind him. "Boss, you sure about this? You start moving again, Marco's gonna light the city on fire." I looked at the rain sliding down the glass, then let it burn. "Luca," he exhaled, rubbing his face. "We got a life now. The bar, the shipments, peace. You throw a punch at Marco, it won't stop there." I poured whiskey into 2 glasses. "Peace?" I handed him one. "You call watching a kid cry herself to sleep peace?" He didn't answer. He never could when it came to her. I took a slow sip. "That little girl, she's what's left of something pure. Marco's filth took enough from this city. I'm not letting him take her too." Dante's jaw tightened. "You can't save everyone, Luca." "I'm not trying to. Just one." He shook his head. "You sound like the old you," I smirked. Maybe the old me had it right. That night, I drove to St. Michael's. The church stood like a skeleton in the storm, the cross half broken, lights flickering through cracked windows. I hadn't been there in years. Father Miguel sat by the altar, reading. His eyes lifted the moment I entered. "Luca Moretti, I thought you were done visiting the dead." "Maybe I am one," I said, walking closer. He smiled sadly. "You only come here when you're lost." I looked at the candle flames dancing in front of me. "I found a little girl. Emily. She's got no one. Marco's men want her back. They said she's his property," he sighed. "And what are you going to do?" "I don't know. That's why I'm here." "Don't lie to a priest, Luca," he said softly. "You know exactly what you'll do." I clenched my fists. "You think I like it? You think I want to pick up a gun again?" "I think," he said, walking toward me, "God sometimes sends us back into the fire to save someone else." I stared at him. Even if it burns us alive? He nodded. Especially then. I laughed bitterly. You always make it sound holy. It's not holiness I speak of, he said. It's redemption. His words cut deeper than I wanted to admit. When I returned home, the bar was quiet. The air smelled of gun oil and whiskey. My men were already gathered, 6 of them, faces I trusted more than my own reflection. Boss, Dante started. We've got word Marco's holding at the old shipyard. He's moving cargo tonight. Children, I said. He nodded. Probably, I looked at each of them. Then we go, Dante cursed. You're serious. I've never been more. Luca, listen. No, I said sharply. You listen. That man ruined lives. He ruined mine. I'm not letting another kid pay for what I didn't stop years ago. Silence filled the room, heavy as the rain outside. Finally, Dante sighed. Then I'm in. One by one, the others nodded. Loyalty was a dangerous thing. Beautiful, but lethal. I loaded my gun, the cold metal biting my hand. We move at dawn. Emily was asleep upstairs. I climbed the steps quietly and leaned on the doorframe. She was curled under the blanket, a small stuffed bear in her arms. The same one I bought her from a street vendor. Her breathing was soft, peaceful. I whispered, You don't know what kind of devil's protecting you, kid. Her eyes opened slightly. Luca? I froze. Go back to sleep. Are you leaving again? Just work, sweetheart. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. You always say that. Her voice broke something inside me. I walked over and sat beside her. Hey, I said gently, you're safe here. I promise. You promise a lot, she murmured and lay back down. I brushed a strand of hair from her face. Yeah, I guess I do. As I left her room, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. The man staring back looked like someone I used to hate. Sharp jaw, cold eyes, scars that never healed. The devil I buried years ago, and for the first time in years, I didn't look away. Dawn came slow and gray. My crew loaded the van in silence. Dante handed me my coat. You sure you're ready for this? I adjusted the holster under my arm. I was born ready for this, he snorted. That's the problem, I smirked. You talk too much, and you think too little. We shared a look, brothers bound by bad decisions. Then I climbed into the van. As we drove, the city passed like a memory I didn't want to keep. The docks came into view, cranes standing like monsters in the fog. My heart beat slow, steady, not from fear, from clarity, Dante whispered. Boss, this feels like old times. It's not, I said. Old times were worse. This time I'm fighting for something good. He looked at me. You sure that's what this is? Feels like you're fighting ghosts. Maybe, I said. But ghosts don't bleed. Marco does. As the van stopped, I looked at my men, my family. No one touches the kids. Get them out first. If I don't make it, Dante cut in. Don't start that speech. I grinned faintly. Then stop interrupting. We all laughed, a strange, broken kind of laugh. Then the silence returned. I loaded the first round into my gun. Let's remind the world who I am. Dante smirked. Luca Moretti, the devil they buried, I nodded. And tonight the devil's digging himself out. Fog rolled in thick and low, swallowing the docks whole. The sea was quiet, too quiet. My heartbeat was louder than the waves. Dante's whisper cut through the mist. Position set. Marco's men are loading crates on the east pier. Stay low, I murmured, checking my gun. No one fires till I say. He nodded, eyes cold. Like old times, huh? I exhaled. Yeah, except this time I'm not getting paid. We moved like shadows, silent, quick, hungry. The air reeked of salt and oil. Somewhere in the distance, a chain clattered. Then a man's voice echoed, Boss! We got movement. Now, I said, the silence broke. Gunfire split the night. Sparks flew off metal containers. The smell of gunpowder thickened my throat. Move! Move! Dante yelled, returning fire. I ducked behind a crate, bullets chewing through wood inches from my head. Flank right! I shouted, my men obeyed. Shadows darted between lights. Screams echoed across the water. I peeked over cover, aimed, and squeezed the trigger. One down, another running. I didn't hesitate. Then I saw him. Rico. He stood on the upper platform, smirking like a ghost from my nightmares. Didn't expect to see you again, boss. I froze. Rico. The man who once swore loyalty. The man who sold me out. Drop the gun, he called. You don't have to do this. You betrayed me, I said, stepping forward. You left my men to die. Yeah, he laughed. And you're still breathing. You're welcome. I fired once. The bullet ripped through his shoulder, spinning him into a railing. He coughed blood, grinning. Still the same killer, Luca. I stood over him. You were family, he smirked weakly. So were they. The second shot ended it. For a moment, everything stopped. No sound, no movement. Just fog and the faint hiss of the tide. Boss. Dante's voice snapped me back. We got hostiles closing in. I turned. More of Marco's men emerged from the shadows. 5, maybe 6. I ducked behind a container as bullets tore through the air. Cover the left, I yelled. Dante rolled beside me, reloading. They're pushing hard. Then push harder. We fired in bursts. One man screamed. Another fell into the sea. The water below glowed faintly red. My ears rang, my lungs burned, but my hands stayed steady. Then I heard it, a cry. A child's cry. Dante, there are kids in that shack. I pointed toward a small wooden building by the pier. He looked stunned. You're kidding me. Go, I ordered. Take 2 men. Get them out. What about you? I'll handle Marco, he cursed. Luca, now, I barked, and he ran. I reloaded and headed toward the shipyard office. My boots splashed through puddles thick with blood. The fog glowed orange from muzzle flashes. Somewhere ahead a voice shouted, Luca Moretti, Marco's voice. Slick, venomous. He stepped out from the shadows. Expensive coat, gold ring, gun in hand. You should have stayed dead. I tried, I said. Didn't stick, he laughed. You think this changes anything? You kill me, another takes my place. Maybe, I said, aiming at his chest. But it won't be you. He fired first. Missed. I fired second. Didn't. The bullet hit his side, sending him crashing against a container. He grunted, clutching his wound. You can't save them all, Luca. I only need to save one, he sneered. That little girl? She's no angel. She's bait. You're too blind to... Another shot. This one hit his shoulder. He screamed, I'm done listening, I said coldly. He staggered, dropping his gun. You'll always be the same killer. Maybe, I said, but at least I kill for something now. Sirens echoed in the distance. My cue to leave. I turned and ran toward the shack. The gunfire had stopped. Dante emerged, holding 2 children, dirt-streaked but alive. You got them? I shouted. He nodded. They're safe. Marco? Gone. Dead? Not yet. Figures, he muttered. We rushed back to the van as police lights flickered through the fog. My boots slipped on wet metal. The docks behind us were a graveyard. Shell casings, bodies, smoke rising from the wreckage. The sea had turned red. As we drove away, Dante finally broke the silence. You good? I stared at my hands, blood, sweat, gun oil. Define good, he sighed. We saved the kids. That counts, I nodded. Yeah, it counts. But inside, I felt nothing. No victory, no peace. Just the echo of Rico's voice. You're still the same killer, Luca. When I got home, Emily ran to me. Her tiny arms wrapped around my legs before I could even take off my coat. Luca! You're back! I froze. Her hands pressed against my blood-soaked shirt. I didn't know what to do. My body was stiff, my heart somewhere between rage and collapse. Hey, I whispered, kneeling down. You should be asleep. I had a bad dream. I smiled faintly. So did I. She touched my face. You're bleeding. It's not mine, I said quietly. Her little hands trembled. Are you a bad guy? I couldn't breathe. I don't know. She hugged me tighter. You don't feel like one. Her words cracked something open inside me. For the first time in years, I felt the sting behind my eyes. The warmth I'd forgotten existed. I held her close, burying my face in her shoulder. Emily, I whispered, my voice breaking. I'm so sorry. For what? For everything. She didn't answer. She just hugged me, small and pure against the weight of all my sins. I closed my eyes. the sounds of the dock still echoing in my head. The screams, the gunfire, Rico's dying laugh. For the first time in years, I cried. I didn't believe it when Dante said her name. Isabella? I repeated, half a whisper, half a curse. You're sure? He nodded. Saw her myself. She's with the cops now, Detective Hayes' new partner. My hand froze on the glass. After all these years, he studied me carefully. You want me to make her disappear? I shook my head. No, not yet. I found her the next morning outside the precinct, rain misting the streets. She wore a navy police jacket, hair tied back, same soft eyes that used to undo me. When she saw me, she froze. Luca! Her voice hit me harder than any bullet. You shouldn't have come here, she said quickly. I could say the same, I replied. Last I remember, you were running from the law. Now you are the law. She exhaled, glancing around. This isn't the place. Then make it the place. Luca, talk, I said sharply. Why are you back? Her eyes flickered with something, guilt maybe. I'm working with Detective Hayes. We're investigating Marco's operations. Human trafficking, illegal docks, the whole network. I laughed bitterly. So now you want to clean up the mess you helped create? She flinched. You think I wanted any of it? You betrayed me, Isabella. You handed me to the cops. My men died because of you. I know, she whispered. And I've lived with that every single day. Her voice cracked. For a moment, the street noise faded, and all I heard was her heartbeat. Or maybe mine. I looked away. Don't do that. Do what? Sound like you care. I do, she said softly. That's why I'm here. We stood in silence under the drizzle. Then she said something that stopped me cold. I betrayed you to save my brother. My eyes snapped back to hers. What? She swallowed. Marco had him. Said he'd kill him if I didn't turn you in. I thought if I gave him you, I could save him. My jaw clenched. And did you? She hesitated. No, he killed him anyway. The world tilted for a second. So all that pain, all that blood, for nothing. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm sorry, Luca. I was stupid, scared. You were the only good thing I ever had, and I destroyed it. I wanted to hate her. God, I wanted to, but the way her voice shook made it impossible. Why tell me now? I asked. Because you deserve the truth, she said, and because this isn't just about Marco anymore. What do you mean? She glanced over her shoulder, then leaned in. The little girl, Emily. My pulse jumped. What about her? She's not just some random kid you saved. She's Marco's niece, the daughter of the woman he killed. I froze. What? Her mother, Sophia D'Angelo, Isabella said quietly. Marco's sister. When she found out what he was doing, she tried to turn him in. He murdered her and took Emily. Used her as leverage. The rain hit harder now, cold and relentless. My chest felt hollow. You're telling me that girl carries his blood? Isabella nodded. Yes, but she also carries hers. Sophia was kind, brave. She died trying to stop him. I couldn't speak. Every word I'd ever said about redemption. Every moment I'd tried to bury my past. It all came crashing down. Why are you telling me this? I asked finally. Because she needs you, Isabella said. Not as a weapon, not as a killer, but as the man I once loved. The man who wanted to do good. I laughed softly. That man died a long time ago. No, she said firmly. He's standing right in front of me. We stood there soaked in silence. The rain dripped from her hair. She still had that same scent, jasmine and smoke. I looked away. You expect me to forgive you? I don't, she said. But I need you to understand. Everything I did, it wasn't because I stopped loving you. It was because I was trying to save someone else. Her voice trembled. Now maybe, you can save someone too. The words cut deep. Deeper than any knife. I looked at her. Really looked. And all I saw was the ghost of everything I used to be. Does Hayes know who I am? I asked. She nodded. Yes, but he also knows Marco's the real monster. He won't come for you. Not if you help us. Help you? I scoffed. You think I'm joining the police now? She smiled sadly. No, I think you'll do what you always do, whatever it takes. I exhaled slowly. You still know me too well. Maybe that's why it hurts, she whispered. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm. Luca, she said softly, don't let the past win again. Protect her, for both of us. I met her eyes one last time. You broke me once, Isabella. Don't make me believe in you again. She let go, tears glinting in the rain. Maybe believing is the only thing left. I walked away before I could answer. My hands trembled, not from anger, but something else. Something dangerous. Something human. Emily's face flashed in my mind. Her small hands, her smile. She wasn't just a child to protect. She was my second chance, my redemption. The night smelled like rust and smoke. The air was thick enough to taste. I stood outside Marco's warehouse, listening to the ocean slam against the docks like it wanted in on the fight. My heartbeat drowned out the city noise. No gun, no backup, just me and the ghost I'd carried too long. Boss, Dante's voice echoed in my head. Don't do this alone. I shut it out. Some wars need silence. I stepped inside. The metal door screeched open, and the echo carried through the dark like a warning. My boots crunched over shattered glass. Luca Moretti, a voice drawled from the shadows. Marco stepped forward, cigarette glowing between his fingers. Didn't think you'd walk into your own funeral? I came for the girl, I said. My voice felt colder than the air. You took something that doesn't belong to you, he smirked. Everything here belongs to me, even redemption. Then you've got nothing left, I said, moving closer. He laughed. You still talk like the old days, like you're some kind of saint now. I'm no saint, I muttered. I'm just tired of devils. A spotlight flicked on. Emily was tied to a chair at the far end, tape over her mouth, her eyes wide with fear. My breath caught. Let her go, Marco. He flicked his cigarette to the floor. You want her? Come take her. That was all I needed. I lunged. The world exploded into motion. Steel, fists, fire. He swung a pipe at my head. I ducked and drove my shoulder into his ribs. The sound of bone-meeting steel filled the air. He grunted and swung again. I caught his wrist, twisted, felt the pipe fall. Still got fight in you? He spat, blood running down his chin. You taught me everything I know, I said, punching him across the jaw. He staggered back, grabbed a knife from his belt. You should have stayed gone, Luca. You had your piece. I had nothing, I said. He slashed. The blade tore across my shoulder. Heat and pain burned through me. I didn't stop. I grabbed his arm and slammed him against the wall. Where's your god now? He hissed. Right here, I whispered, and headbutted him hard enough to drop him to his knees. Flames licked along the walls from a broken fuel line. The heat grew fast. The whole warehouse shuddered like it knew what was coming. He laughed, wheezing. You can't save anyone. You're still the same killer, Moretti. Maybe, I said. But I kill for a reason now. He lunged again, knife flashing. I grabbed his wrist, twisted. He screamed. The knife clattered to the floor. I drove my fist into his gut, then another into his face. He stumbled back toward the flames, clutching his side. You think this changes anything? It changes her life, I said. She's his blood. He shouted, pointing toward Emily. You'll never wash your hands clean of that. I froze. His words hit harder than any punch. What did you say? He grinned through the blood. Didn't she tell you? She's my niece. Her mother, your little friend Isabella, wasn't the only one who betrayed you. My chest felt hollow. My knees weakened for a second. The world spun red. You're lying. Ask her when she's older. I stepped forward, rage swallowing every thought. You're done, Marco. He reached behind him, grabbed a burning board and swung. It connected with my ribs, knocking the air out of me. I fell, coughing, smoke filling my lungs. You can't kill me, he said. I made you. I pushed myself up. My fists trembled. Then I'll unmake myself. I rushed him, ignoring the pain. We crashed into the fire. Sparks exploded. The heat tore through my jacket. I felt his knife again, this time deep, right below my ribs. He leaned close, breath hot with smoke. You'll die here, Luca. I gritted my teeth, forced the knife out of me, and rammed it into his shoulder. No, I whispered. You will, he screamed as the flames swallowed him. I stumbled back, chest heaving. The ceiling groaned overhead. I could barely see through the smoke. Emily. I shouted. Her muffled cry answered. I ran, tore the ropes from her hands, ripped the tape from her mouth. "Luca!" she gasped, tears streaming down her face. "It's okay. We're leaving," the roof cracked above us. Fire poured down like rain. I lifted her into my arms and ran through the haze, every step heavier than the last. Behind me, Marco screamed my name one last time. Then silence. The flames took him. Outside, the cold air hit me like a blessing. I collapsed to my knees on the dock, Emily still clinging to my neck. She buried her face in my chest. "You're bleeding," she whispered. "I've been worse," I said with a weak smile. Her small hand pressed against my cheek. "Are you a bad guy?" I looked toward the warehouse, now a mountain of fire and smoke. "Not tonight." She wrapped her arms tighter. "I was scared." "I know," I said softly. "So was I." The sirens wailed in the distance. The flames reflected in the water, turning it blood red. I stared at the burning wreck, feeling something crack open inside me, a pain that wasn't just physical. "Is he gone?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "It's over." But I knew it wasn't. Not really. Some wars never end. They just fade into quiet. I pulled her closer, my blood mixing with the ash on her skin. "Let's go home." We walked away from the fire together, leaving the past behind us, one burning piece at a time. The morning light cut through the thin curtains, warm and soft against my face. I hadn't felt sunlight in weeks. The steady beep of the heart monitor beside me reminded me that I was still here, barely. My ribs hurt. My shoulder was wrapped tight, and the scent of antiseptic lingered in the air. Sophia's clinic was quiet, the kind of quiet that used to make me nervous. But now, it felt almost holy. "Morning, soldier," Sophia said, walking in with her clipboard. "Still pretending to be human?" I cracked a smile. "Trying my best," she raised an eyebrow. "You shouldn't even be alive after what you did." "I've heard that before," I muttered, shifting slightly. Pain clawed through my side, but I hid it. Sophia sighed. "You could stay longer, you know. Let your body actually heal." I looked toward the window. Emily sat by the table, her tiny hand painting flowers on white paper, humming softly. "I'm healing," I said quietly. "Just not in the way you think." Sophia followed my gaze and softened. "She asks about you every morning." "She shouldn't," I said. "She will," she replied simply. "You're the only man she trusts." Emily looked up and smiled. "Luca, look. It's a sunflower." I forced a grin. "It's beautiful, sweetheart." She nodded proudly. "You said flowers mean new beginnings, so I'm making lots of them." Her words hit me harder than any bullet. Sophia tapped her pen on the chart. "You know, she's right. You could start over." "With what?" I asked. "A broken body and a worse past?" "With choice," she said softly. "You have one now." Before I could answer, a knock came at the door. Sophia gave me a look. "You've got company." Detective Hayes stepped in, his badge glinting under the sunlight. He looked tired, but his eyes carried something close to respect. "You look better than the last time I saw you," he said. "That's not saying much," I replied. He smirked and handed me a folder. "Thought you'd want to see this." I hesitated before opening it. Photos. Marco's warehouses burned to ashes, docks cleared, files seized. "It's over?" I asked. Hayes nodded. "Marco's network is gone. His men scattered or dead. The city's finally breathing again." For a long moment, I just stared at the papers. "And Isabella?" "She's safe. Back in Rome," he said. "She wanted me to tell you she's sorry." I let out a slow breath. "That word doesn't change much, does it?" "No," he said. "But it's something." He studied me quietly. "You could help us, you know. Testify, give statements, help rebuild what's left." I looked him dead in the eye. "You don't want me rebuilding anything. I destroy things. That's all I know." Hayes sighed, slipping his hands in his pockets. "Maybe once. But I saw what you did for that girl. You could have walked away." "Yeah," I said, glancing at Emily again. "But I didn't." "Then maybe that's who you are now," he said. "A man who stays." He turned to leave, then stopped at the door. The world could use more men like that. When he left, the room felt heavier somehow. Sophia broke the silence first. You could listen to him. I did, I said. Doesn't mean I agree. Emily walked over holding her painting. This one's for you. I took it carefully. Bright yellow flowers, a shaky sun, and 2 stick figures holding hands. Who's that? I asked. You and me, she said. You look happy. I swallowed hard. Yeah, I do. She tilted her head. Are you leaving again? I froze. Why would you think that? Because people who look at the window like that always leave, she said simply. Smart kid. Too smart. I forced a smile. Maybe, but not today. She climbed onto the bed, curling beside me. Her small hand wrapped around my finger. You're my hero, she whispered. The words cracked something inside me. For a long time I didn't speak. Then softly I said, I'm not a hero, Emily. You are to me. I looked at her. Really looked. The way her hair fell across her face. The smudge of paint on her cheek. The hope in her eyes. That same fragile light Isabella once had. The one I let die. Sophia watched quietly from the doorway. She's not wrong, you know, she murmured. Don't start, I said. She smiled. Fine. But at least stay for breakfast before disappearing again. I sighed, leaning back against the pillow. You know me too well. Somebody has to, she said. The clock ticked. The clinic buzzed with the sound of distant life. Footsteps, doors creaking, wind brushing through the curtains. It all felt too peaceful, too temporary. I looked at Emily one last time. Hey, I said softly. Can you do me a favor? What is it? She asked. Keep painting flowers, no matter what happens. She nodded seriously. I promise. Hours passed. When the sun dipped low, the room glowed in amber light. Sophia had gone home, and Emily had fallen asleep beside my bed, her hand still resting on mine. I reached into the drawer, pulling out a small envelope. Inside was a key, one that didn't open anything anymore. My last tie to the life I'd buried in blood and smoke. I set it beside her painting. This belongs to you now, I whispered. Then I stood. My body ached, but my heart felt strangely light. I dressed quietly, leaving behind the hospital gown, the painkillers, the past. At the door, I paused. Emily stirred, murmuring my name. Go back to sleep, I whispered. Promise you'll come back, she mumbled. I promise, I lied. I stepped into the hallway. The air smelled of rain, and for the first time in years, it didn't feel like the world was closing in. Outside, the city lights shimmered across the wet pavement. I could hear distant laughter, car horns, life moving on. I slipped my hands into my coat pockets and walked toward the edge of the street. Every step hurt, but it was a pain I welcomed. I didn't look back. I couldn't. But as I passed a store window, I caught my reflection, a man I barely recognized. The scars, the tired eyes, the faint smile. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't haunted. Emily's voice echoed in my head. You're my hero. Maybe not a hero, but something close, and for me, that was enough.